Hey everybody, welcome back. Sora just dropped. And so what I wanted to do is actually test Sora against other models that are out there in the video generation universe. This is not going to be exhaustive. This is also going to be very long. So I'm not going to be able to test all the different types of video models, just the main ones that I use and I think are, fairly competitive with Sora. And as well as I'm not going to do any editing. I'm sorry. We're just going to do this live, so to speak, and just you'll see how this all generates on a minute to minute basis, second to second basis. It's going to be grueling. We might sit there for a minute or two just waiting for an image to generate. But you know what? Screw it. We're here to play around. I want you to really see live how this all works up close and personal. And yeah, so what I've already done though is I've already did some images in Midjourney. And let's just jump over here real quick. So what I've already done is created a bunch of images in Midjourney. Midjourney is my favorite tool. My second favorite tool is probably krea.ai using Flux to generate images. Here, if you click on generate image in Flux, then you can generate images using either Flux 1.1, Pro, Ultra, Ideogram 2.0. Pretty awesome. But I also use FreePic as well, which is pretty awesome with Magnific and Mystic, which is another tool. But in either case, I'm still getting used to them, to be honest. I do really like Flux though via inside of Krea, but I'm not going to be using Krea for that. I'm going to be using it for the video generator. So here, pretty cool that Krea essentially has a bunch of video generators together here. It's got Hailuo AI, Luma, Runway, Kling, and Kling Standard Pro 1.5. I can also generate directly within Kling as well, but I might be able to do it here as well. Let's see how fast it goes. And I've also got Sora loaded up here, ready to rumble. I've got Luma Dream Machine also here, ready to rumble. Runway, ready to rumble as well. I've got a bunch of credits here with Runway. And Hailuo as well. Got a bunch of credits with Hailuo. So I'll be running a bunch of things here, and they just updated with their new live model, which I will be, oops, why isn't it showing up? Well, whatever. It'll be jumping up in there soon. And then the Klingai and Flux, and then there's also Pika.art, which I haven't used in a while, but they just released their 1.5 model. Let's see how well that does. So only, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 models roughly. If we include Krea, that's like 7, although it's using other models. And then I've generated all this stuff in Midjourney already. So this is the range of styles. So I wanted to go with, animal movement in a city. Then we've got, artistic versions of that. Then a dude walking, then a really weird art style, then some nature here. Maybe I'll do a forest. So I'll just forest here. And then cars, moving, man moving, walking around, something in space, some art, a very cute little cat, and then maybe a forest here. And you know what, I'll do this video and then we'll see how people react to it. If people want me to do more stuff, please let me know in the comments, like suggestions on other images that I can test image to video on. But this is a good early set because there's some movement here. There's different types of characters. You know what, I'll also do, like, let's see here, aliens walking in New York City. I'll do that as well. I just want New York City because, let's have some fun with New York City. I'll do that in Niji as well. Let's do like Illustrator art style. So that'll be 2 extra things there. Let's see how it animates like weird objects like aliens. And one more thing, let's do robots walking in New York City as well. Sometimes robots can be a little bit tough. So I'll choose, you know what, I'll grab this one. This one looks pretty weird and surreal. We'll see how all these models test against that. And we got an Illustrator art style. This is really cool, so I'll grab that one as well. And lastly, we'll get some robots here. I don't want to play around too much, but let's see. I like, I like these robots. They look pretty nice. We got some humans in the background, so there you go. So now we got some images from Midjourney. I've got them all sitting here in my downloads folder, so ready to rumble. So what I'm going to do is one by one, and again, this is going to be laborious, so I'm sorry. Maybe you want to move forward, or you just want to leave this in the background and just watch. But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go one by one through all of these, and we'll see how well it animates all these different little things. So let's start with the cars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload them all. So I'm going to scoot this over here a little bit and scoot this over here. we're going to drop that over here. Oops. Oops, that's not right. Let's go here. We'll drop this over here. I agree to upload media containing yes. I agree to not upload media containing violence, misuse. Okay. So Sora does have this. This is new actually in the alpha program. We didn't have this. And it looks like they removed the drag and drop. That's kind of funny. Where's the drag and drop? Oh wow, the drag and drop's gone. All right, well, they updated that since the last time I used it. So we're going to grab it from here. Boom. And all I'm going to do is do that over here. I'm going to do the same thing over here in Luma Dream Machine. Luma Dream Machine, it's a little buggy sometimes. You have to like make sure that it's changing to video. So you got to change this over to video. Prompt that here. And jump into Runway. Runway does have a nice drag and drop there. And then, oopsie. And then I'm going to jump into Hailuo. Hailuo also has a simple drag and drop. There we go. In image to video. And then we're going to do the same thing in Kling. And do we want to try this with anything else in here? You know, I'm going to try Runway over here just to see how that does. And we're going to try it with Pika. There you go. Again, this is going to be exhaustive. And actually, I haven't used Pika in quite a while. So let's see how that does. I'm just going to click on that and see how well that does. We're going to click on Generate over here. Oop, looks like it doesn't work. So maybe I have to... Oh, there we go. Okay. And I'm going to no prompting. So I'm not going to write anything here. I'm just going to generate and see what happens with generations without much, you know, just going in dry, so to speak. Hailuo does a great job. And then we got Runway over here. We've got Luma Dream Machine. And what I'm going to do is just do one shot, you know, and see what happens with one shot. I can do multiple variations here in Sora. So, you know what, I'll do 4 just so that we have that. So we'll do 4. So actually I'm giving it 6 essentially, but you know, I want to show 4 just so you guys can see that. Boom, and that's 4 there. And there goes. So Luma is super fast these days. And look at this generation here. Car somehow veering off, but still really nicely animated, like having the mountains and all that. The car is also, maybe the front of it kind of distorted a little bit. It turned the rearview mirror into the front there. So that might be a slight mess up. Runway, it's going to take a minute to... Oh, and it now has dropped. Let's see how Runway does. It made the car go backwards. That's interesting. One shot. So this is why, you know, these models, it is nice to be able to generate multiple times across each, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to do one shot and see, because we don't have time to be that exhaustive. All right, Hailuo is still working on it. Kling is also still working on it. And, oh, and Flux using Runway has this. So this is, we're giving Runway a second chance here, essentially. So this is the fast model with Runway, and it's also going backwards. That's kind of interesting that Runway would think to go backwards, and then it warps here towards the last few seconds. And then let's see what Pika. So Pika's still going. So while we're waiting for those to come through, oh, and here's Sora. So Sora's first 2. Let's see how they did. So Sora has this weird thing where when you move the mouse across, it will animate, or it kind of run you through. But if you just leave it, it'll animate. There you go. So this one veered straight through the fence. That's hilarious. And then you got a nice kind of slide break here, and the lights turned on. Actually, the lights turned on in both. One on the wheels on the right here, and one on the wheels on the left here. That's kind of, or on the lights on the left here. That's kind of interesting. And here's the 4 shot. Let's see how it does over here. So in this instance, it turned completely around. This one's going backwards like Runway, etc. So that's kind of funny. So we did get an idea here of how Luma animated that, and then how Runway animated that. And then we're still waiting for Hailuo. Hailuo is, in some cases, the best performant in the last few months. So we'll see, and Pika is still waiting. So what we're going to do while we're waiting for that is we're going to do another one. So we did the car racing down the car track. Let's do an animation version, which is going to be really interesting because certain models do not do very well with animation. So, and art. So we're going to try that. I think Luma, and historically, for me at least, Luma and Hailuo have done very well with animation, and Sora has done actually fairly poorly, in my opinion. And here we go. We're going to give this another shot. And I'm also not using the first and last keyframing here on both Luma and Runway, but it is worth noting that you can do keyframing, which means that you can put the last and the first frame there, which does allow for some pretty kind of pretty fancy things where you can like upload 2 images. Now Hailuo doesn't do that, unfortunately, but it does allow for some really nice or does animate things really nicely. And let's do the same thing with Kling. Kling also does that. Now it's also worth noting that with Kling, you can also do keyframing, as well as you can use something called motion brush, which we're also not going to use in this case. Ooh, I'm not sure why it's not quite working here. Give me a hot second. Oh, I see. It needs to be placed right on top of that click, drag and drop section. And we're going to click on credits here as well in Kling. And then Flux, should we give it another run with Runway? Or do we want to try it with, let's try Hailuo again? No, let's stick to Runway. We'll give Runway double chances here. And there we go. I mean, I love the Krea interface. It makes things so much easier to use, I have to say. And then it kind of allows you to scroll up and down. Really nice. And then here's Pika, and we're going to drop down that one for this animation. Now let's look at how Pika animated this one. It's a little clunky with this. Oh, there we go. Ooh, look at how it's slided. So it warped considerably. So I guess this is why Pika is not as much in the conversation. But it did do a good job the first 2 seconds, I would say, and then it started warp it to be a little bit cartoonish there. But I don't know. I feel like Pika also does a relatively okay job in some cases. I did some animations previously with it that were pretty good. But yeah, now let's see how Sora did with that animation of the car. Okay, so this bottom left one, it didn't even animate at all. The second one, it turned it into almost like a video game on the top left here. In the top right, it didn't do too bad of a job. It kept the art style, and the bottom right, it definitely changed the art style. It started to make it almost a little photoreal there. So as you can see, this is my complaint sometimes with Sora, is that it doesn't do too well with animation. Let's see how Luma did. It kept the art style and stability, not too shabby. Now, it didn't quite understand that this was the kind of the banister, or what do you call this? The kind of the wall here. But I'd say the art style maintained really well, and even moving the objects up here, not too bad. Let's see how Runway did. Runway, it's been a while since I used animation. Hey, also not too bad with maintaining. Oh, wow, look at how the trees are animating there. Pretty good, I would say. Runway, not too shabby, maintained. Now, it didn't... So I think what's interesting here with Sora, right, is that it managed to kind of shift the camera around in an interesting way. Although it destroyed the art style, it did change the camera around in a way that was really interesting, whereas Runway and Luma are kind of maintaining the camera in the same place, which is, good and bad. Ooh, look at that. We're still waiting for Hailuo there. Klingai, we're also still waiting. In fact, are we waiting for this one still? Let's take a look. Okay, we did finally finish that first photo. Klingai, ooh, some pretty hard warping there. The initial moment, oh wow, the lighting, really pretty here. But, I'm not loving how that warps here towards the end. And that lighting is kind of awkward there as well. I mean, really nice there, though. But the warping towards the end here is not so nice, I have to say. And it made the car kind of get a little bit smaller, but not too shabby. Not too shabby. And then Flux, ooh, this is Runway as well. So remember that we're using Runway on Krea. So actually, maybe we move this over here. So we note that we're both double clutching on this. And this looks really nice, actually. So like even comparing these two against each other, Runway's done a fairly good job in this animation case. And Pika, we're still going to wait on that. Meanwhile, let's jump onto the next one. That is man walking, and this is kind of an illustrator style. So we're going to grab that into Sora from here. That's man walking down the street. And we got 4 variations, and we're going to animate that as well. So again, I'm not text prompting. I could, and maybe we could do another version here where we're like actually testing against that, but I don't want to do that. I just want to see how we can react to the model just going in dry, right? Let's try that with Luma. I have to say, I love Luma. I love the interface and, how easy it is to use in terms of, it's always very stable in this way. I think Runway is kind of similar in that sense, but sometimes Runway is a little bit expensive, in my opinion. And you know what? I've been trying to get into the creator program for over a year now, and they have not let me in, but whatever, that's life. Here we go. So I'm going to generate this one, and I'm going to turn this down to 5 seconds because I don't need to be burning up my very limited credits. We already almost burned through like almost 100 credits already. So here we go. This is the third image, and we're going to use Krea. Now Krea, I'm also using Luma, but I'm using Luma through the Krea tokens that I have, so I'm maybe in some ways conserving a little bit with Krea, but I'm giving Runway its second chance here. And lastly, we're gonna grab the animation here for the man walking in Hailuo, and it looks like Hailuo just finished these. We'll jump back to that in a second once I do this, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with Kling. So remember that Kling and Hailuo are the Chinese competitors. If you checked out my money video, I did a kind of an analysis of how much money these companies have. They are massive companies, so don't be deceived. The Chinese companies have a lot of money backing them. All right, and we're going to drop this one in here. It's so funny how hard it is to drag and drop. I appreciate again that Krea's interface just allows you to drag and drop. Oh wow, Krea generated immediately through Runway. Look at how nice that art style is. But before we jump into this man walking, let's look at how Hailuo animated both of these. So number one, this is the instance of the car. Ooh, heavy warping. That first 2 seconds, not too shabby though, gotta say. And then heavy warping there. And then, okay, look at that art style. So this is why I've used Hailuo a lot for animation. It did warp it, not as secure or stable as Runway, unfortunately, but it turned in this weird way here. It did maintain the art style. We are like almost like in a psychedelic world where the ground moves, but nevertheless, pretty cool. As you can see though, Hailuo not only did maintain the art style and allowed the object to turn, something that I will say that Hailuo has done a relatively good job of historically. All right, so now we've got that. We're going to illustrate the man, illustrate the man over here, illustrate the man over here. Let's see how the man animated in Sora over here. So, wow, look at that. So maintained the art style in almost all cases, did not allow him to move in the bottom right, but I would say the bottom left is almost perfect, right? And the upper right is also not bad. It looks to me like the upper left, the taxi is going by. First of all, one's moving, the black car is moving a little too fast, but the taxis look a little almost photoreal. So it's worth noting here, but pretty cool. Not too bad, Sora. Usually I don't feel so great about the illustrator styles, but it did a pretty good job. And maybe it might be that this illustration style is closer to real, photoreal. So it's done a good job with that. Let's see how Luma did. Ooh, nice smooth movement there as well. It kind of smoothed it a little bit, which is good and bad. Like there's kind of like this artisticness to it, but it had a nice pan in naturally. I love that. Then we've got Runway, second instance of Runway. And look at that. It made the colors a little bit brighter, and you gave a little shadow coming over here. So maybe it's identifying that they're building. So that's really smart. Nice. Not too bad, I gotta say. And this is Runway again. It also identified shadows here, which we saw that earlier. We're waiting for Kling and we're waiting for Hailuo. So we're looking at, these three last ones here a little bit slower. So while we wait for them, we're gonna check out this other rabbit here. Cute little rabbit. Animals are always interesting to me because I think that the available data on animals is not that great compared to humans. So sometimes you don't get natural movement with animals. It's even worse with like aliens and robots, especially with robots in particular. I struggle the most with robots, I have to say. both in Midjourney of maintaining their consistency, as well as just animating robots properly. Sometimes they just happen to warp, and it might just be because, hey, we don't have enough data on robots out there, right? While we're waiting for Runway, we're gonna do Runway over here as well. Nice. Look at how easy that drag and drop is. Go Krea. Thank you, Krea. And we're gonna do this one over in Hailuo. Hailuo also really nice. Like, why isn't the drag and drop for everybody just like that? Like, come on, guys. And then Kling. Unfortunately, Kling, I have to like close that and then place, which is kind of stupid, but whatever. Come on, Kling. Pika, not too bad. At least I'm drag and dropping here and generating. All right, and we're back. Sorry, I had to interrupt myself for a second there. There we go. We are in with the rabbit here. We got 4 variations of the rabbit on Sora. We have uploaded on Luma. Luma is just so fast, easily the fastest. For some reason, though, here with Luma, and it's so funny how the cars are moving backwards, right? In Runway and in Luma. But in this instance, the thing is, this is not unusable, right? First of all, the rabbit is a little still, but it's not unusable because I can just reverse this video and make it look like the cars are moving forwards. In Runway, haven't generated this yet. And when we have Runway's thing here, it's a nice pan in, pretty good. The funny thing about Runway, again, with these 2 images in particular, it's made the kind of saturation go up in the imagery, right? Because the original image is much lighter, right, in saturation. And look at how saturated that is. And then let's see about Hailuo. We haven't initiated that yet. And then in Kling, we haven't initiated that yet. And in Pika, we are still waiting, right? So while we're waiting for them, oh, here we go. Here's Sora. Ooh, look at that movement of the head right here of the rabbit. You see that? Not too bad. Kind of a sniffling there. And then a nice little zoom in here, although it made the whiskers really long. And then in this case, you are making the cars go backwards again in Sora. Like, what is with the cars going backwards? I don't understand it. And then this one on the top right here, maybe the most usable one here, where the rabbit is making a little bit of a flinch, and then at least things are moving naturally around. So not too bad. Here we've got Luma. We just looked at Runway. We're going to do another Runway pop in here. And again, saturation up. So naturally, Runway is kind of changing the saturation here. And the zoom in, it kind of warped the rabbit a little bit here. Hailuo, we are going to have to wait a minute. It's always going to take a little bit longer. Kling as well. And this man is still animating in Kling. So look at that. And Pika, meanwhile, still animating the rabbit. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to choose another one. I think I've got an animated version of the rabbit, of the man. You know what? Yeah, let's try this man. So this is going to be the first photoreal person that we've got so far that we're going to be working with. And photoreal is usually the best, in my opinion, in terms of generation from image to video. It's just usually very strong, no matter what model you're working with. Just because I think it's probably a training data perspective. Maybe if all these models are training their data on YouTube or something like that, probably most of the data is of people, being, video taken of people, right? So, and maybe if, let's say if TikTok came out with their own model one day, it's also going to have this scenario where they probably are training it on data of live people more than animated data, right? That's just natural, right? And so I do find that that's generally true when we're looking at Midjourney as well. Like when I'm trying to generate something in Midjourney, it's way easier to generate something that's photoreal. We had this complaint in the early days of, like AI is bad at, using hands or creating hands, but that's just no longer true, right? Or at least it's much more solved. Oh wow, Pika did a great job here, at least with the slow zoom in. Unfortunately, the mouth is a little strange, a little cartoonish there, but otherwise the background's nice. Oh, except for this car being way smaller. Like, how did it lose half the car there in that animation? But otherwise, Not a bad animation for Pika. So, maybe I'll be returning back to Pika to play around with it. Hailuo, we're still waiting on, of course. It takes a while. Oh, let's check out this animation from Hailuo. Ooh, Hailuo, unfortunately, not only did it make him walk strange, it did make everything a little bit photoreal. Okay. Kling, we're still waiting on this one. Oh, and here's Runway. Like I said, really quick and nice to animate. Like, it looks pretty natural. Unfortunately, once again, saturation is up. You see that difference of saturation. And we didn't animate over here, but we just saw what Runway can do. Luma, let's see how Luma did. Dude, see, Luma's doing a nice job keeping the saturation. It made some weird movement there, some smooth movement, some blurred motion, which is actually kind of cool as well, but nicely kept the saturation there at the least. But a little strange movement, so something I can work with. And let's see how Sora does with that one. We forgot to click on that. And while we're waiting for that, we're going to do another one here. Let's see here. Well, we already did an illustrated man walking, so we had a sense of that. Let's do the spaceship. And this is always an interesting test because this is an object that you don't generally normally see, but it's a different type of movement, right? And sometimes you will have a scenario where it'll take a spaceship into space, right? Or it'll take the spaceship out of the frame, or it'll follow the spaceship. So there are a lot of kind of different interpretations of where this could go. I feel like I'm giving Luma the short end of the stick because I'm only allowing it to go once, whereas I'm allowing Runway to go twice. So you know what? I'm going to go with Krea to animate Luma in this round as well, just so we have a sense of it. There we go. You know what? And I'm going to do Luma over here because you know what? We're getting to see how Runway is every time, and it's pretty similar in both generations. So here's the spaceship. Ooh, and it allows you to do end and start frame, which is pretty nice in Luma. So see how that manifested when I changed over to Luma. It allowed the first and second keyframe there. So there we go. I'm going to submit for that one. And then Hailuo. And you know what? I expect Hailuo to be the winner in this one. I wouldn't be surprised because Hailuo does a pretty good job of, moving kind of unique objects through space, so to speak. Don't know how to quite articulate it. It's kind of an intuitive thing. But here we're going to place this one in Kling while it's generating this man over here. Oh, and finally we get to see Kling animate this man. I'm going to click on that in a second as soon as I generate this one. There we go. Let's see how this animated here. Ooh, it made a little photo. Oh, it's got a nice shadow. It made it a little bit photoreal, keeping the illustration style a little bit as well. I have to say, I did not. I haven't been animating Kling 1.5. Man, I haven't been giving Kling the short end of the stick. And you know what? I'm gonna switch this Krea over to Kling. Ooh. And Luma over here did not like that. You know what? I'm going to switch this over to Kling 1.5 because that's easier to manage. We're going to generate over here. I'm sorry, Kling. You're annoying me a little bit. So we're just going to use Kling over here from now on. And Pika, we are going to play around with the spaceship here with Pika. There we go. All right. So now here we are. And here we got Sora with the man. Now I have to say, Sora's usually very good with people. And so, hey, it did a pretty good job. Maintained saturation to a certain extent. I think Luma did a little bit better. But look at the smile. Ooh, top left, the smile is a little bit weird. This smile is nice and smooth. This smile is a little bit too much. And this one is pretty nice, although it's slightly digitized right there in that smile there. But I say Sora's not too bad here, right? Now we got the spaceships. Let's see how it does. So now on the bottom left, it changed the spaceship, and then it changed the back. Top left, solid, right? I could easily use that one. Top right, that weird blue flame is kind of strange. And of course, bottom right, this is something that Sora often does, which is switches things out. Might be because this is an animation thing, but look at that. It just couldn't even maintain it past like half a second, right? There you go. It's just off to a different type of rocket entirely. It's almost like Sora looked at this and then rewrote the prompt to itself and then generated something based on that, as opposed to like staying on, so to speak. Let's see what Luma Dream Machine did. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Really nice. And a nice little zoom in on the exhaust there. Really pretty. Then we've got this one. This is Runway. Oh, we haven't generated this one yet, so let's wait on that. And Krea, we're going to wait, a little while. This is going to take a while. Kling 11.1.5 is going to take a while. So in that case, I'm going to animate a bunch of these things on Kling just to front load while we're waiting here. Because, I cannot wait that long for that. And we're still waiting on Hailuo. And Pika. Still waiting on Pika. Oh. We've only gotten almost halfway through. So we're only halfway through. You guys, I hopefully are starting to get a sense of how different these are. But also how similar they are, right? I mean, like this definitely is a unique thing to Sora that I think Luma and Runway don't suffer from as much anymore. Hailuo also. And Kling 1.5 remains to be seen. So I'm going to generate that one while we're waiting for this other one. Okay. And you know what? I'm just gonna front load all these on Kling while I can. And the cat and the aliens. It's a lot to get through. So let's keep. Oops. I've only reached 2 more generations. Okay, well, all right. Well, we only have 2 generations at a time, so we're gonna have to wait for Kling 1.5 anyway. And Hailuo, I can do at least 5 at the same time. So I'm just gonna do that now while we can. So sorry, I have to do this out of sequence, but this is life in the AI world. You kind of have to play around according to their constraints, not your constraints. We're gonna do the cat here. It's a really cute cat, I have to say. Midjourney knocked it out of the park on that one. And we're gonna do the aliens here as well. So all right, I got 5 here, and you know I'm gonna load one more in waiting because this one's gonna finish soon. All right, and we got Pika, which is working on this. And I'm going to leave that there because Pika's taking a while. All right, and so now we got Sora. Let's get back onto things. Now we're going to go into nature. So we're going to look at what nature looks like. Ooh, it's so annoying that Sora does not have the drag and drop anymore. I might have to give some feedback to the Sora team on this one. All right, there we go. So we're going to do some nature here. And then we're going to do this nature here. Now, nature usually is pretty easy, you know, and I'm also using kind of a simple, I have to say, thing, which is just like a close-up. Close-ups in general are pretty nice and easy to do. Versus like a forest or a mountaintop, like with wind blowing through, like that might lead to a little bit more kind of crazy generations. Here is that nature there, and unfortunately we're gonna have to wait for quite a while for Kling 1.5 to come through. So maybe it was a blunder to switch over to 1.5, but quality of animation is key. Oh, and now we're gonna use this alien one. Now, meanwhile, Hailuo has finally finished this. So Hailuo has finished this one. Okay, kind of a warped animation with the hand here. It also made his hand white. Kind of interesting. It did make his face kind of interesting there, but you know what? I gotta say, Hailuo made a little bit of a warpy intro there. Here we've got really... Ooh, that's quite an exhaust there, kind of intense. I like that there's light up here and it is synchronized, but that exhaust is a little bit insane. So in general, I'd say maybe Luma, was Luma the one that, yeah, Luma is the winner in this spaceship one, I gotta say. That nice zoom into the exhaust, really pretty. Sora did some nice stuff with this one in particular, I have to say, with the zoom off the screen. Not too bad, and it kind of makes it nice, like kid stuff. But these three here are basically unusable. All right, and then lastly we got Kling, Hailuo, we got that one, and Pika, we're still waiting. Oh, and Pika finally came through. Let's see how this went. Not bad. Ooh, huge warping on the end there with that little side panel, or I'm not sure what the word is for that thing, or the fin. Basically came off and became a side panel. But the fire's nice, and it maintained the shape of the rocket, but kind of warped the space and the stars in the background a little bit into mountains, what it looks like. So a little odd there. Oh, and now we have, but the nature did come through very rapidly. Let's look at this. See, again, nature is just so easy to do, right? Leaves maintained, the rocks maintained, not too bad. While we're waiting for that, we're going to go patterns. And this might be one of my favorite things to test, is how do these things deal with patterns? Hailuo is coming through with the patterns right now. Kling, we can't even talk about. Runway, here we go. Runway, how did you deal with nature? While we're waiting for that, we're going to drop this in and generate as well. And yeah, how did you deal with nature here? Ooh, nice shimmering. Really pretty. You got a little bubbling here. Shimmering of the water here. Leaves maintained. I gotta say, Runway did a great job on this one. Luma Dream Machine, same question. A nice pan up, kind of like a blur, maybe a reflection of something up there. Ooh, they made this look like a bit of a window, more so than, I don't even know what this is, honestly. It was up to interpretation. But the pan upwards is nice, and the leaves maintained. The leaves are not shaking, so that's kind of interesting. Let's see how Sora did. Not a lot of movement here, so, surprising given that sometimes I would say Sora is the creative one. Not a lot of creativity here. I gotta give this one, I think, to Runway. Even though this like little ripple here came from who knows where, this actually looks very pretty and alive in a certain way. So I'm gonna give that one to Runway. And let's go for patterns. Let's see how well these guys do patterns. And how are we doing with Hailuo? Oh, and Hailuo did finish this. Ooh. Okay, I gotta say Runway and Hailuo kind of nice here. So Hailuo kind of interpreted this as maybe like a little pond here, and so it had the ripples here going on from this side. I don't hate it. I think that's pretty nice. And Pika, we had this earlier. Not bad either. Although the leaves kind of warping a little slightly there, but not unusable. So now we're on to patterns. So let's see. We're going to upload patterns to Sora and see how that does. It took a while there to load. So we'll see the 4 variations there from Sora. I gotta say, it's nice that Sora has 4 variations, right? Whereas with Luma, you're kind of uploading one by one. Runway, you can definitely hit refresh each time, and you can keep generating here, which is nice. And then Krea, you can also do that here. So maybe Krea might be a better place to be using Luma in some ways, although it did crash earlier. So big question mark. And then Hailuo also is just one by one. You have to upload one by one. So that is an advantage that Sora does have here, where you're able to generate 4 variations at once, similar to how Midjourney does it, right? Which is nice. But you can also choose just 1 or 2 variations, which would, in theory, cost you less tokens, right? Here we have Sora again. And while we're waiting for Sora, let's see. Luma probably finished early. Oop, there you go. Now, I love playing with abstract art with these models because you can see how they're going to, interpret them and make them move. I mean, this is just so fun and cool. Like, it's essentially melting the painting, which is really, really cool. I don't see people doing enough with that kind of art. I can already tell that that Runway raised the saturation in this image. See, look at that. Even if I move forward, You can see it raise the saturation. But anyway, let's see. Oh, it turned it into almost like a sphere that we're moving through. Ooh, ooh, nice. That's really cool. Very abstract interpretation there. Runway. Kling, I may have given up on. It's taken forever. Hailuo, let's see how this did. Ooh, it turned it into a water splashing instead. It's just, this almost is like Sora-like in that it just lost itself. But wow, very cool though, because it maintained the colors and then turned it to something else. I mean, I might even cut out the original and then use just this splashing function. Really cool. Peeker, we are still waiting on you. And lastly, let's see how Sora did. So again, Sora doesn't always do well with the art stuff. So let's see. Okay, top right is really cool. This is almost like you could see this in like a commercial or something. Bottom right, oh, kind of weird. Bottom left, I'd say not enough movement, not so usable. And then this, it just kind of like inked it up. Thanks. It's like a kid just ruined my painting. So I'd say top right, maybe even arguably one of the coolest so far. Although Luma did do some pretty cool stuff here with the movement, although it melted it almost too much. Whereas here in Runway, you're turning it into this kind of abstract sphere. And then Hailuo, you got this. So a pretty cool range to kind of peek into the mind of the AI. Now we're going to get fun with this cute little cat. And I love kitties. When I saw this on Midjourney, I just had to immediately go for it. And I just, to be honest, like, why not make a cat? Because fucking cats are awesome. But here we go. We are just going to go with the cat. Cats are cute. What can I say? And we got a cat over here. I've given up on Kling. You know what? Maybe I should have just gone back to Kling 1.0 because that's annoying. We can go back to Kling here. Man, I mean, I expect big things if 1.5 is taking that long. Oh, and we have time to do the last image here on Hailuo, which is kind of nice. The nice thing is that Hailuo does allow you to do like 5 at a time. You can kind of do the same thing with Sora, but it's not as easy to do. And, oh, Pika's here. And let's grab our little kitty cat with Pika. Oops. There we go. We're just going to raw prompt that. And since we kind of lost the thread here a bit. We did get this from Kling. If we looked at this. Ooh, not a great job with Kling 1.0. I gotta say, at least Kling 1.0 is faster than 1.5, but look at that. Not so hot, I gotta say. Well, meanwhile, let's at least try out. We might have to try out just kind of running multiple here, just like we're running with Hailuo. See if we can just get these all loaded up, because Kling has taken forever. Sorry, y'all. You can click forwards if this is just too long of a wait. But, this is just how the ball bounces. I'm going to get this cat in here. At least now that we're at this cat, we're at parity. I'm not going to use Kling 1.5 anymore after these two generate, because this is just way too long. This is crazy. It's like 10 minutes. It's finalizing now, extracting key themes and concepts. Like, come on, y'all. And that's not even on Krea, right? That's on Kling. This is the Kling model coming through. I do wonder if Kling 1.5 is moving as fast here as over there. Let's see. Actually, let's just generate the cat here. See if that works. It also took me 20 credits instead of 10. So we'll get, this is the 1.5. Anyway, since we now got the cat, I think everybody's got the cat generated. Nope. We have the cat over here with Runway. So we're waiting for 1.5. Hailuo's got the cat. All right, Hailuo's got the cat first. Let's check out the cat over here. Oh, so cute. The nose kind of moves kind of funny. Oh, and it drops the fish. The fish is alive too. Look at that. Kind of some warped movements here and there, but usable for sure. Usable for sure. Cat's still loading over here. Cat's still loading over here for sure. And we're going to go back to the other stuff. Let's see how Runway did. Again, saturation up. Come on, Runway. And somehow added a a lure to the cat. It just like appeared. Look at that. It just appeared, the lure. Otherwise kept the cat relatively stable. And the fish is definitely dead. And then how did Luma deal with this problem? Ooh, did not. Oh, how is the cat holding it up? What is this? Like a super chin? It also messed up the fin, or not the fin, the gill here for the fish. Kind of an interesting misinterpretation, but not too shabby though in terms of the movement of the head. Like everything above, right? If I were to like obscure this, if I just looked at this like this, that's not bad, right? Compared to what we saw over here with Hailuo. You know, it's about maybe about the same, a little bit better. At least with Hailuo though, it's not moving the head much, right? Whereas at least Luma kind of it interpreted things to move to the right or left and maintain the head relatively well, aside from everything below the chin, unfortunately. And now let's see what Sora is going to do. Oops, I didn't click right on that yet. And you know what? We're gonna finish all these off really quickly so we can have all these in this last final shot. We got aliens walking. Sometimes Sora's weird. When you scroll down, it loses everything. I wish it didn't do that either, but that's the world that we live in with Sora. And we got another alien one here. We're just gonna load that one up and lock that in. I should have done this from the beginning. I'm sorry, but you know, I was trying to juggle like 20 different things all at the same time without a sense of how they do it to against each other. This is the first time I've kind of run an experiment like this. I usually do work like this, but I'm usually doing it in Midjourney as well. So I'm like generating images in Midjourney while I'm posting in here, and I'm kind of putting a lot more thought into it rather than just kind of like copy and pasting all these into each other. All right, so we got a sense of that cat, which is not bad, I have to say. It's definitely workable. And our next thing is these aliens. So we're the final stretch of these 3 images. And thanks for staying with me if you stayed with me for this long, because it's definitely a lot of generating I'm just sitting here and doing. If you actually fast forwarded, I don't hate you. You know, it's a lot of generating just sitting here watching some random dude generate on the internet, but you know, such is life. I'm also going to do a few more here just because I can. Might as well save the time. And then I think in Hailuo, I can do the rest. And oh yeah, we're ready with the rest in Hailuo. Oh, and Pika finally did the cat. So here we got the cat. Very stable. Ooh, slight warp on the ears, although I did like that initial movement of the ears, but no, that's a little warp there on the fur there. Didn't quite understand that the fur was inside the ear. But a nice stable camera movement though, so not unusable necessarily. Something to work with. And Hailuo, we got this one already. We already took a look, right? So that gives a sense of how it deals with a cat's face. And now we're starting to get these aliens coming through. I'm going to load up this one as well into Luma while we're waiting. Luma also allows you to kind of prompt multiple images rapidly, which is pretty nice. Although you can't just click right away on this. You have to wait until for it to load. All right, so here we go with the aliens. So Sora, unfortunately, not maintaining that image there. So this is the problem with image to video. So the first one, top left, maintained rather nicely. It changed the color a bit, warping the color a bit up here, but not too bad. The other 2 just completely changed. So, or the other 3 completely changed. Look at this. It maintained this image for, let's see, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and then warped into this. The same moment, but different aliens in a different street, different illustration style. Same thing happened over here. At least it lasted for 3 seconds, but barely even moved these. And then this one didn't even last for 1 millisecond. It just warped over straight to this. At least this one is usable. So something Sora is this is once again is that Sora effect. It always does that, right, with image to video. And here we got Luma. Ooh, look, they're dancing for some reason. We got the camera movement is off, so it's maybe because the camera movement was off like that, it already kind of makes it sway in a weird way. But in general, not too bad. We got some weird coloring here that we didn't ask for. Blue over here, red over here, but not too bad. Not, I think, as stable as this, right? Not as stable as that, but also Sora kind of lost its way in terms of the art style like halfway through or a third of the way through. Here we've got Runway. Let's see how that does. Ooh, maintain the art style, although the legs became photoreal a bit there. Actually, the whole image became photoreal, unfortunately. Generally a problem, right, with these illustration styles, but hey, not too bad. Kind of a dancey sway there. What is this, like an alien hip-hop group? Oh my gosh, Kling 1.5 finally came through with the rocket. Oh my god. Go back to where we made the rockets. Hey, now this is nice. Not bad, Kling 1.5, I gotta say. One of the better ones. This would be, I think, on par with what Luma Dream Machine's coming out with. Right? I think Luma Dream Machine was the one that had that nice pan in, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah, this is the nice pan in. That's what Luma did. And then look at what Kling 1.5 did in Krea. Hey, you know what? I might have to go back and play around with Kling 1.5 a bit more because that's really nice. I mean, Kling 1.0 did this. Just useless. It's just a pan down. I could have done this in Photoshop. And Pico. I forgot to do Pico with the aliens here. So let's put those aliens in there. Why do you guys got such bad drag and drops? Okay, there we go. All right, so that's alien number 1. We got Luma with their aliens over here. Runway with their aliens over here, which probably is the market leader here, I gotta say. Although Sora's pretty good too, although it also warped here. Just made a nice, it made a nice walking movement. And then, and Hailuo. Hey, maintained the art style, I gotta say. Made them lurch a bit strangely. And maybe a little bit of weird photorealism here on this card, which is moving backwards, by the way, unfortunately. But not too bad on this side of the image, just a strange lurching in their movement. And then Pika, still waiting. And Kling, we are kind of waiting on that. Let's see if we can put that in here now. Well, we're waiting for that. So Kling 1.0. Why bother, honestly, now that we've understood how much better Kling 1.5 is against 1.0, frankly. I gotta say, 1.5 is far and above. Now, usually I have to say that the later models have less access to more features, and this might be true of 1.5. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see, if I go into 1.5, yeah, see, it disables some motion brush stuff here, so that's just the reality of things. It also happens with ChatGPT for 01 and 01 preview, right? It didn't have access to like reading or looking at images, right? Okay, we're loaded up that alien there, and we're gonna load up these final robots. We're on the final stretch, friends. We're on the final stretch. We're gonna see how it does with robots. We're gonna see how this one does with that. And you know what? Wonder if I can put this in here while we're waiting for that. Oh, we can. Okay. And you know what? I'm going to do that with these robots as well. And forgive me for doing it like this, but I just wanted you guys to see like how long it took to do these things, right? Like it's a laborious process. It's worth understanding that. Okay, so now we're on to the second batch of aliens here. Illustration style, very different. And here we go. Wow, look at that. I gotta say, okay, so not a lot of movement in the, these three here, unfortunately, but this top right is really nice. Maintain the art style. Slight flickering in the lights, not enough for me, but hey, not too bad with these aliens moving forward. I'm very impressed, actually, Sora. Good job. Here we've got Luma. Let's see how that is. camera moves along with, okay, unfortunately the cars are moving a little strange in this imagery, but the aliens are moving not too bad, and at least we're getting a pan up into the buildings up here, which is pretty nice, maintaining that art style. Unfortunately, not a lot of flickering of the lights. Then we got Runway. How's Runway do with that? Wow, look at that. Good job, Runway. Unfortunately, photoreal. Lost the art style within, what, like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. But pretty nice movement, maintaining at least the shapes of these aliens, which is, again, why most people are using photoreal when you see these films, right? But I think what is interesting to me is where animation is going, right, with this kind of stuff. All right, we're almost done with Kling 1.5 over here. And then Hailuo, we got this one. Wow, nice maintenance of the art style. You know, personally, I usually prefer Hailuo for animation stuff just because it does do a pretty good job. I'm surprised to find Sora does have a few nice bangers, but this is not bad. A little photoreal here on that car, but otherwise pretty nice. Pretty cool hand or our head movement here on this alien. Look at that, how it looks to the left, to the right. Really cool, really creative. And Pika, we're still waiting. And Kling 1.0, we're still waiting. So while we're waiting for them, let's look at the final stretch of images from Sora of the robots. So unfortunately, these robots didn't move even at all. I got one movement moving. What are they? You guys, you think these are statues? Even the humans are not moving. Why aren't the humans moving? Okay, humans moving over here at least. Humans, and then what? This car is just going to run straight into these people without killing them? Good job. And then these guys are not moving at all. So unfortunately, a fail on robots. And I got to tell you again, robots are hard in general, in my opinion. Let's see how robots did in Luma Dream Machine. Yes, nice forward movement. Some warping here on this guy. But hey, we got some forward movement. Warped the humans, unfortunately, but kept the robots. Maybe it's having a hard time dealing with both. But hey, not too shabby. Runway, how'd you do with robots? Oh, we didn't give you robots yet. Wait for your robots to come in. Oh, and ooh, look at Kling 1.5 on this nature image with the water splashing in. Okay, Kling 1.5, I see you. I see you. You're competitive. You're in the mix. Let's see how Hailuo did with these robots, though. Ooh, nice. Maintaining humans over here, not too bad. The humans are not warping too much. So Hailuo, doing a great job. Pika, we're still waiting. And Kling 1.0, we are still waiting. Although Kling 1.0, we did get an interpretation of this pattern here. Not too bad. So at least that gives you an idea here. We might wait for a few more minutes to at least see the final chapters. Kling 1.5, I'm just gonna close. But you know, worth checking out Krea because it does have all these models, at least a lot of the ones that we just saw, all in one. So Hailuo, Luma, Runway, Kling, and Kling Pro are all in here. As you did see that I have a limitation on how many I can do concurrently. That's just life. And then Hailuo, you can do 5 at a time. I think Hailuo had a good high average for one-shotting, right? I only one-shotted everything, single one of these. Sora at least got this advantage of being able to see 4 at a time. That's a huge advantage. I'm not one-shotting Sora, so who knows how well that would have done if I was just one-shotting it. And then, Pika here. We've got their interpretation of this one. Hey, really nice Pika as well. I'm impressed. A little blinky here. Not flickering of the lights, but hey, a nice pan up to see that. And then let's see how Pika did with these aliens. Pretty good here, maintain the art style. Slight photoreal, and then warped the buildings at the top, but not too bad, I gotta say. And we got our robots coming in here. A nice pan up to the city. We're trying to, are you Pika? Are you trying to avoid dealing with stuff? No, but to be fair, like, did not warp the humans down here too much, and didn't maintain the robots walking towards. So Sora actually failed on robots in this instance, right? So yeah, that pretty much is it. We got Kling 1.0 coming through. We got the cat coming through, etc. This cat's not too bad, I gotta say. Not too bad of a cat. So that's pretty much it. We have now shown, especially these 4, which are frankly a lot faster than these 2 last ones, Pika and Kling. Even Kling 1.0 is pretty snail's pace. But clearly Sora is very fast. Luma is wicked fast, maybe the fastest. Runway is very fast as well. Oh, and Runway finally came through with its bots. Let's see how, first of all, saturated bots. But nice slow walking movement, some slight warping of the humans and walking into each other there. I saw that. And not too bad though. These robots walking towards really nicely. And it's interesting kind of perspectives, because look at how big these humans are and then these humans are. I feel like these humans are smaller than these humans. These two Asian men here. Luma clearly very fast. Hailuo, nice that it has the interface that allows you to kind of put multiple things at the same time. And Pika finally came through with the robots here. Oh no, I showed those earlier. Right. It was hiding the robots. So the last chapter is Kling here. So, that's pretty much the end of the video. But if you want to, stick around for these last 4 or 5 here from Kling, you're welcome to stick around. But that does give you a sense of how all of these work, how fast they are. You've stuck around with me for maybe even 30 minutes now. I don't know. I didn't look at the clock, but that gives you a sense of how they all work together, right? Some are better than others in very subtle ways. Some are very similar. Some, to the untrained eye, might not be very different at all, right? And so it's worth considering here and thinking about like how you would think about which one to use in which context. I mean, I think Sora, there are some big advantages here, right? It can do 4 variations at a time. It doesn't have a drag and drop, but it does allow you to prompt a lot of things simultaneously. You can go back and change that. Luma Dream Machine easily, one of the fastest, right? And also, in my opinion, has a very high average in terms of generating stuff, like maintaining a style or an artistic style and maintaining kind of movement here. Really, really nice and smooth, I have to say. Although, this little strange warping here. Then Hailuo, one of my favorites for sure. It did some funny creative interpretation here with the patterns and the art, and didn't too good with this, which I would have expected it to do a little bit better. I think Luma knocked that one out of the park. This one was one of the more challenging ones that everybody kind of struggled with. And this one, surprising to me, no one really did very well, I gotta say. Maybe Kling 1.5 could do it in like 20 minutes. And then Pika, of course, maybe an unsung hero, better than I had thought in a lot of cases. Maybe I'll go back to using that. Kling 1.0, unfortunately, just wicked slow. I don't think I would ever use 1.0, given that even at this slowness level, it's not getting as much creative output and interestingness as I would want, compared to the others. So yeah, although I've been hearing a lot about it, I think Kling 1.5 clearly is amazing based on these two. I mean, this is just such an amazing shot, maintaining the shape of the rocket as well as a nice exhaust here. And then this one, just beautiful, right? The ripples here. So I'd be curious how it would do against the others, but I'm just not going to stick around and do all that. But yeah, and you know what? We might not stick around for these last 4. Like, I'll show you them some other time, maybe, if you ask. But anyway, that does give you a sense of all these different tools and comparing them to the new entrant today, Sora, who's been under development, which appears to be like over a year now. I've been in the alpha program for the last 3 months. Happy to work with people on it, play around with Sora. It can be used for a lot of different things. But as do the others, right? They are all really close to each other in different ways, strong in other ways, creative in different ways, hallucinating in different ways. Clearly, there's little peculiarities here, like where like hand movements are kind of different versus like saturation level with Runway, etc. So that's pretty much it here. Thanks so much for sticking with me all the way to this far. Please feel free to check out all the other Sora videos that I've made this week. I mean, there's a lot Sora just launched, so it's a good chance for us to all compare now that everybody's out in the open. I'm sure there's a few more stealth players that are out there working on video generation that are still set to come, including probably more Chinese players. Tencent just launched their Hunyuan one where people are using it on-prem on their devices. So there's still a lot to come. The competition is fierce. 2025 is probably going to be a massive years for video gen. Like, they're gonna probably leapfrog each other in different ways next year, probably in resolution levels, fidelity levels, character consistency, object consistency, movement, control features, all these things are probably going to get a lot better, probably going to get a lot simpler to use. All of those things are probably going to happen in the next year. So, come back here in 1 year and let's take a look at how all these models have evolved, because it's going to be really interesting. So this is a bit of a time capsule for the moment. So thanks again for tuning in. Let me know what else you want to know about Sora and all these other tools that I've just shown. I definitely have a lot of familiarity with a lot of them. Been using them a lot with a lot of different clients and even projects that I've wanted to do, short films, music videos, all that kind of stuff. So happy to talk to you guys about what is possible and how to use them, as well as working with people who want to work with me and my team on making these. So thanks so much for everybody for tuning in, and hope to see you in the next one.